Topic before me is planning approval process. What is approval? That is what we refer to as the planning permit. The one that is the license for every one of us here that has the interest of developing that you must compulsorily have. Well, let me first of all appreciate the Lagos State Building Control Agency for giving me this opportunity to be here to speak on the planning permit, which we all refer to as approval. But before I go into the process itself, I want to take us through some things as what is the planning permit. The popular one you refer to as the approval. Development permit under Section 102 of the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law 2015, as amended, means an approval or assent given for the time being to a developer and include layout plan or subdivision plan, building control authorization given at the construction and post-construction stage. When you look at that line 4, this is saying that given for the time being. It means that once the approval is given to you, where we can withdraw that approval if not built according to the specification. So that for that period of time when you are holding on to that plan, that is what referred to as time being. Now, here, between me and you, because you may not know, I need to let us know that we plan every day. And if we fail to plan, that means we plan to perish. And we all also know that it's the popular saying that God, in his infinite mercy, created the environment for planners to manage. And that is why planning is the art and science of ordering the use of land. When we continue to order the use of land, that is, this area should be zoned for or designated for residential, this place for commercial, industrial, and so on. What are we trying to do, or what do we want to achieve? We want to achieve comfort, safety, and convenience. Next slide, please. Now, what are the classes of planning permit? So, like I said, this planning permit is that assent, the assent given to you, the permission given to you to embark on that your construction, which of course many of us now we don't want to be obtaining it, and that is the reason why we have CAP in place now that will help us to enforce and to tell them that they need to come forward for their planning permits. Now we have the classes of planning permits. There are two of them. We have the professional planning permit and we have the final planning permit. Yeah, you may want to ask me, what is provisional planning permit? This is the type of permit that is given out to individuals that want to develop, but you have not gotten your title registered. That is, your title, your agreement is still between you and the seller. You have not made that presentation of that your title to Lands Bureau for registration. So any approval given to you, we want to ensure that because of the time, we want you to embark on construction because of the inflationary rate. So that is why that professional planning permit is given. Then the final permit is after you might have processed your title document, you can come forward to obtain that final permit. Next slide, please. Then who can be granted professional planning permit? That is, this planning permit we are referring to, who and who are entitled, are supposed to obtain this planning permit. Yes, individual like me and you, because everybody, we want to come to Lagos, and everybody always pray that I want to have a roof over my head. As much as you are planning to have a roof over your head, then you should be planning to have that your planning permit. So individual, me and you, we are expected to have the permit. Then private organization also is expected to have the planning permit. Then corporate bodies too, they are expected to have planning permit. I engaged in discussion with some people. They were asking me, is it true that a bungalow building to obtain planning permit. I said bungalow building. Where is that building situated? Is it not situated on the ground? So whatever is being developed, you put on the ground. Even under the ground, above the ground, you are expected to have that your permit. Then government, federal, state, and local. Some people will be saying, why you are saying that state governments will have approval? Who will grant that approval? Is it not a Lagos state government, or is it not the state government? The principal planning, are you not under the state government or what? Why must you enforce them to obtain planning permits? Yes, go around. All the schools, all the markets, everywhere you see, they do obtain planning permits. So it's very, very compulsory. So as you are going out, when you continue to see all these buildings, don't just put your eyes out of it that they are not supposed to have it. They must have planning permit. Next slide, please. Next slide. Hello? Next slide. Yes. What can be granted planning permit? What I'm saying here is that, you see, for every development, I want to embark on a new development, a new construction on the new land I have just bought. There is need for you to obtain planning permit. That is A. Then if I discover that my building is old, I want to do little modification to it. I want to redevelop it, or I want to alter it. I want to do so many things on that building that is in existence. So I must obtain planning permit for it. Then renovation. What is renovation? Because renovation and redevelopment or remodeling, they are different. Renovation means you want to remove your windows, you want to do your little things in that thing, or you want to paint. So painting is not part of it anyway, but renovation, removing windows, removing doors, removing this and that, you must obtain planning permit for it. Then fencing. I've heard somebody saying, I've just bought this land. Why do I need to obtain planning permit for it? It's compulsory that you must have fencing permit for that property you have just developed. So it's not. Then revalidation. You see, this plan, like I said, this plan we do give. The planning permit we approve, we give out. It has an expiring date. After 2 years, if you have failed to commence that construction, that means you need to come back to the office to come and validate the approval. So that means it expires if you have not started the construction within two days. So if you are going out and you discover that somebody now is giving you, is just starting the construction and is giving you the approval, and you look at the date on the approval, you discover that this date is more than 2 years, so it means that you need to inform that person to go back for revalidation. Now, demolitions of structures too. I've heard people saying, I want to go and demolish. And why do I need to obtain permit for demolition? Yes, it's very, very necessary. Reason being that you may not know, because that building you are demolishing needs to be supervised by a qualified professional. Anything can happen to that structure. So that means that you need to do what? Obtain that demolition permit. Then additional floors. Today, no money. I've just managed to put up a bungalow, that is a floor, a bungalow. So maybe because there is increase, my status has changed. I want to increase it to 2-3 floors. Now, doing that, you need to go back to the approving agency and seek for planning permits. Next, then as built, also, you discovered recently, maybe last year, towards the end of last year, government gave out amnesty that if you are having a development and you have not obtained planning permit on it, please come and obtain the planning permit. So this type of planning permit, that is as-built development. But it is not that every development, because you have built it. What if you decide to put your structure under high tension line? Do you think government can consider that? No. But we need to subject all this into so many things before the planning permit is granted. Ditto, when you have this existing building, that means you need to go back to the material laboratory, the material testing laboratory, for you to conduct what referred to as integrity test on that structure. Next slide, please. Now, why do we need planning permit? Why do we need it? We need planning permit to ensure that the structure are built in the right way and the right place. Right way and the right place. To balance development in the state, to ensure that development and growth are environmentally sustainable. Next slide. Then who grants this planning permit? You may be wondering that, Well, after all, probably if I am a town planner, and it's a town planning office that grants that approval. So if I have my own property, I'm a town planner now, I can just approve it myself. No. There is an agency. There is an agency of government which we refer to as Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, LASPA. So their function is to grant approval. So that is why we have district offices in all the local government of the state, with district headed by district officers. Next slide. Now, what are the documents needed to obtain this planning permit? Drawings. So under that drawings, we require for the architectural drawings prepared and signed by a registered architect. Then we have structural drawing if that structure is going beyond a bungalow. So we require a structural drawing, sealed and stamped by current registered engineer. Then we need also under that drawing mechanical and electrical drawings. So also is needed for certain type of development. Then survey plan is very, very compulsory, because it is survey plan that will tell us the size of the land, the location of the land, and even the configuration in terms of the shape of that land. So survey plan is very, very key when we are talking of development documents needed. Then title document, of course. Title document can come in any form. Like I said, we can have a title registered document, which is either CFO or governor consent, deed of assignment, registered. So that is under that one. But if you don't have a registered title document, yes, you can make use of that, your deed of agreement between you and the seller, as well as the purchase receipt. But you need to do a stamp duty on that. Now, we have LUPA. LUPA is Land Use Planning Analysis Report. This also is very, very important. It's a report written, prepared, and signed by a registered town planners. Ditto for the Physical Planning Technical Report. This report also is meant for certain type of development. If that development is not residential, or a residential in excess of 8 units and some other thing like that. So it is required for you to meet with the town planners, a practicing town planner, top rec registered for that report. Then, of course, every citizen must pay tax. Your tax is very, very important. Then soil test also. You see, soil test is one of the parameters, because that is why we continue to have this incidence of collapsed structures. Because some people will look at it that, a building very close to me did not do soil test. So why do I need that soil test? This land is the same as that land. Forgetting that the soil capacity, the bearing capacity of that soil will be different from others. So if you are going to, trying to put up a multi-story building, there is need for each and every one of the developer to have a soil test, because it's that soil test that the engineer will use to make his or her design. Then we have some clearance letters. There are some clearances like my Oga have just mentioned now from fire service. There is need from sometimes we tell you to go to some agencies to go for the clearance letter. Next slide, please. Then processing now. This is where the topic starts. Processing of granting the process of granting the planning permit. This is my topic. But that one, I just try to bring us down. So you see, once the architectural drawing, assuming now that I am the owner of a newly bought land, and I have the interest, because definitely before you embark on that structure or construction, there's need for you to obtain planning permit. So what you need to do first is you have your survey plan prepared by a surveyor. Then on that survey plan, you can meet with your architect, and you give your architect the brief of what you want on that land. So it is onus on the architect now to know and to be conversant with planning regulations. And if you don't know, my office is where you can easily come for one to determine what is the status of that land in terms of the density, in terms of the use of the land, height, and whatever. So once the architectural drawing is prepared by an architect, so the architect will now bring take the architectural drawing to that planning office where that land is located. For example, if the land is located within Ikeja, then the architectural drawing with the survey plan as well as the title document to ensure that you are the rightful owner of that property will be taken to Ikeja district office. What are they going to do there? That will be the first point of call, and that is why we call it pre-screening. So when you get there, you meet with the district officer. The district officer will look at it from the planning point of view, the setback, the airspaces, the zoning, because they will need to get it charted. They will chart it and see that it conforms within that area. For example, if we have the interest of putting up a residential development, like your client has briefed you, and you now put up that residential development. So by the time you get to the district office, by the time they chart that drawing and they discover that no residential development is allowed to be developed in that area, so it means that you have to go back and design again. So if, for example, I'm not telling you that you cannot put up residential development there, that area is designated for industrial development. Definitely you know that you have wrongly bought the place you cannot use for your own, for the interest of yours. Now, once the drawing is checked, then it will be taken also to the architect in that office. So that architect will now look at it vis-a-vis the professional point of view, the cross ventilation, what type of thing you are using for this and that and that. The architect in that office will look at it. Then they will now visit sites. The officers from that district office will follow the applicant to the site for site appraisal. Once they discover that the land is okay, it is not within under high tension line, it is not close to gorge or canal, it is not blocking the access road, they will now come back to the office. And it is then they will now assess for you. They will assess that document. They will give you assessment. What that means is that how much you are to pay to the government. It is then they will decide, they will work it and you know. So it's now left for you to go to bank. They will give you the agency code, the account number, the whatever code, and they will direct you to go to your own choice of bank where they do receive government fee. Then it is there you go in and you pay. And once you pay, you ensure that a receipt will be generated for you immediately after that payment. So you now take that payment, the payment receipt, your teller, whatever, you take it, the survey plan, the architectural drawing. Then if there is need for you to do the structural drawing now, because something has been signed off by the by the architect, you can now proceed to meet with your engineer to prepare that structural drawing. Because there are some mistakes that people have been doing. Instead of them, to confirm to get the architectural drawing signed off, they will give the drawing to the architect. That one will do it. Immediately like that, they will pass it to the structural engineer, mechanical engineer, do it. At the end of the day, if there is error in any of even that architectural drawing, it will mean that they will have to do all the drawing all over. So to safeguard that, it is only when the architectural drawing is cleared that you can now give it to your structural engineer to do what? To proceed with the design of the structural drawing. Now, the next thing after we are back from the assessment that has been worked, and you have your receipt of payment, then your architectural drawing, structural drawing, survey plan, title document, all those documents I've just mentioned, they will now bring into the office, that town planning office, especially the one I've mentioned, Ikeja. We take it to that Ikeja. It is then they will now get that thing registered. You see, the pre-screening I said, because we have the ultimatum that, within a tweak of an eye, within some time, the planning procedure should be concluded. So if we did not do any screening and the application is registered, you have paid, and while we now register that application, we discovered that there are some things for you to do. So that is what leads to delay. My application has been submitted to town planning office for years, for 2 months, 3 months. They have not given me an approval. So at that point in time, the one referred to as pre-screening, it is still left for you. Go back and meet whatever. If you like, spend 10 years. You are on your own. So immediately you bring the document and the payment receipt for registration to town planning office. It is then that file will be opened. Once a file is opened, then you can continue to count the number of days that application will stay in that office. But I assure you, within 10 days, the approval will be granted, all things being equal. Now, once the file is opened, we open 3 types of files. We open 3 types of files, at least to make our job faster. One is one you refer to as the main file. That one will reside in the office where the officer will be working. Another one, you open another file that will be taken to account department to clear that payment you have made, to clear it. And such file also will be minuted to tax to determine the tax liability for you to go and pay. Then another file, if that development is a commercial development or industrial other than residential, so another file will be opened that will contain that PPTR, that is physical planning technical report, and that will be taken to another department within that SPA. So the 3 files will be moving concurrently. No one will disturb another one. Then once that one is done, so the next thing is that recommendation. And that recommendation is just for the officer in that office also to look at all the documents, to vet it, and to ensure that all the documents inside are complete. And once they are complete and they find that it is okay, then it is then that officer, who is the recommendation officer, will now recommend the application to the district officer for approval. That is the time they will grant that planning permit. So now, having done this planning permit, it is then that we will now send a copy of the planning permit granted to our sister agency, LAPCA. So that application have been granted for this property as also place. I will now send that application. We sign the record of whatever have been granted to LAPCA. So before now you commence construction, it is compulsory that you need to go to LAPCA and obtain authorization to commence construction. So it is when that stage, certification will commence. Because if you don't have that planning permit, there's nothing you can stage. So you need to have that planning permit before you embark on development. Now, having said that, I know the question that will really come to everybody's mind now that gone are the days when we go to bank, we need to go and queue. By the time you queue, everybody, bring your teller, Now, you can sit at your comfort zone and, do whatever financial transaction you want to do within your comfort zone. Very soon, my office, which is Physical Planning Automation Department, all these manual will be automated very soon. So at any point in time, you can be at your comfort zone anywhere and transact business with government. Thank you very much.